What in your standard is a peaceful protest?
Peaceful protest would be getting your message across. I can't remember what I said. Getting your message across in, I don't know, expressing it to get your message across.
Okay. And what would you think it would be like without this amendment?
Without this amendment, I think it would be tyrannical. We would have the government just being evil and not letting the people speak.
Have you ever protested, and if so, why?
I have not personally participated in a protest, but I can tell you about one of my favorite protests that I saw in college. It was in Sherburne Hall, which is St. Cloud State, and going into Sherburne Hall, the cafeteria was connected, and there was a sign that said no ice cream cones, and this kid put his ice cream cone on the sign. So when he walked by, there was just like an ice cream cone stuck to the sign, and it was great.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, how would you say this amendment impacts our world?
I think it promotes democracy. It lets the government know how citizens are feeling.
When does protesting become a problem, and what crosses the line?
I think protesting becomes a problem when it's not, when like the thing that you're protesting, you're not actually like getting an effective message out, like people don't really care about your protest. And I think it crosses the line when you are violating other people's rights.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
What in your standard is a peaceful protest?
I think a peaceful protest is any time when you are protesting in a way that's not causing undue chaos to the community around you.
Okay. What would you think it would be like without this amendment?
I think a lot of things, especially social justice issues, wouldn't have been, moved forward.
Have you ever protested, and if so, why?
I protested in high school because we had 9/11 and we had a lot of people signing up, and we were worried and we weren't really sure what was going to happen, and so we had students walk out and protest the incoming war. Yeah.
How would you say this amendment impacts our world?
Well, our world's a little different because not everyone in the world has this right. But I would say that hopefully we're always good examples, and it's not always true, but we're good examples of leading the way and, again, trying to be at the forefront of social justice, not in the back. Whether or not that happens is always a question for time. Yep.
And last one is, when does protesting become a problem, and what crosses the line?
I think we run into problems when people are getting hurt and things are being damaged, because I think that ends up kind of hurting your cause, because then you have negative publicity, and what you're trying to do is educate and show yourself as a positive and respectful person, even though you have these beliefs that you want changed. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. What in your standard is a peaceful protest?
Well, one that doesn't involve violence or vandalism or destruction, or say that would count.
Yeah. What would you think it would be like without this amendment?
Without it meaning that we wouldn't allow for peaceful protest?
Yeah, like there'd be no amendment so people could protest. It didn't have to be like a peaceful protest.
I think it'd be pretty chaotic. I think that might be a little bit more of a green light for tomfoolery, if you will.
Yeah. Have you ever protested, and if so, why?
I did. I protested Jim's Hamburgers in Duluth when they took the chili off the menu. No, I'm just kidding. I have never protested anything in my life.
Okay. How would you say this amendment impacts our world?
I suppose it gives people a voice. It gives them the opportunity to express concern. And hopefully they're doing that in a peaceful manner where, I think that gives a little bit more credibility to an argument than if you're just destroying stuff or ruining stuff or causing bodily harm.
And last one is, when does protesting become a problem, and what crosses the line?
I think when you start the destruction of property and the harming of people, I think when we start getting into that, where you're seeing the things just being torn down, and I think at that point it starts to become a mob mentality, and I think it's less for the cause, and people just get caught up in the moment of the destruction of things. And I think that when that stuff happens, a lot of times it has a tendency to make the argument less valid, because the destructive stuff seems to outweigh the positive stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.